Hi, welcome to Faith in Front. Just wanted to come on and encourage you today to stay dead. Hi, I'm sure you're probably wondering, what do you mean stay dead? What are you talking about? Well, for us Christians, we understand that this flesh, we always have to reckon it dead. Yes, this is figurative language. Yes, I know that you are alive and well, and we thank God each day for life, but we are to stay dead. Look at what it says in Galatians 2:20. I have been crucified with Christ, and I no longer live, but Christ lives in me. The life I now live in the body, I live by faith in the Son of God, who loved me and gave himself for me. We have been crucified. So that's figurative language that this old nature, it should be reckoned dead. Say, for instance, you went to a funeral, right? There's that time where you have to, view the body, right? My least favorite part of a funeral, because it's like, we've been clapping and shouting. Everybody's up, because we have this hope. We don't grieve like those who have no hope, right? And then it's time to view the body. And somebody gets up and they start singing, "It's so hard to say goodbye." I don't like that song at funerals. It's like, it's just a command to be sad. You're already going to be sad. But it's like, I'm sorry. Nothing against Boys and Men, nothing against the original artist. I just don't really care for the song. I'm trying to stay hopeful in the midst of my grief. So, it's time to view the body, right? And say, for instance, all of a sudden, you're approaching the casket, right? And all of a sudden, whoever's in there, they raise up. Now, this is just for humor, but there's some truth to it. Now, my Caucasian brothers and sisters, you guys might stand around and converse while that person just, raised up. My black brothers and sisters, we're going to be about 5 miles away first. Then we're going to try to figure out what happened, right? We're not going to be inquisitive. Don't get me wrong. I know some of my white brothers and sisters, you would run too. I know I would run if I'm at a funeral and that person raised up. This is just a funny, figurative way to really just press in on the fact that as Christians, what tends to happen when someone ticks us off? Somebody cuts you off in traffic. What do? You raise up, right? So stay dead. Figurative language, stay dead. You are now crucified with Christ. It's not about us anymore. And that's hard. That's hard to do. Trust me when I say it, because you know how it is. You could have left the church. Some of you don't even get off the parking lot, and someone has annoyed you. Someone has ticked you off. Someone has said something that you don't like. And what happens? That flesh, it raises up, right? Raises up. We are supposed to be living sacrifices. Look at what it says in Romans 12:1, right? This is a reminder. This is figurative language, but Paul tells us, he says, "Therefore I urge you, brothers and sisters, in view of God's mercy, to offer your bodies as living sacrifices, holy and pleasing to God. This is your true, proper worship." And some other translations say this is your spiritual act of service. But the key is to offer your bodies a living sacrifice. And as we know, during the law and during the Old Testament times, okay, when something was laid on the altar, okay, when it was sacrificed, it was killed. So you kind of got this oxymoron. How can I be a living sacrifice? Because normally when something is sacrificed, it was killed. But this is figurative language to remind us that we are to live as though that old nature is no longer alive. Now, we battle with it because it always rears its ugly head. But we're supposed to present our bodies as living sacrifices. We're supposed to walk this Christian walk, but with the mindset that, hey, that old me is dead. That's what baptism represents. When you go down, it's like you're saying, hey, the old me is now dead, but now I'm risen in Christ to live out this new life. And it is true that it is hard to do. And one of the reasons that it's hard to do, because it's found right in Psalms 51:5. Okay. It's easy for that old man to raise up because it comes natural, right? It says in Psalms 51:5, surely I was sinful at birth, sinful from the time my mother conceived me. Right at conception, that sin entered. We're shaped in iniquity, okay? We're shaped in iniquity from this sinful nature that's passed down from one generation to the next. So it comes natural to raise up when that person cuts you off. When the checker is in sloth mode at the grocery store and you're like, okay, it's easy because it is sinful nature. So I just want to encourage you to keep in mind that another cause for it is an imbalanced diet. And what I mean is what are you feeding? Are you feeding the old nature or are you feeding the new nature? Because like that old statement says, I have two natures, one I love, one I hate. The one I feed will dominate, right? Most of you may have been familiar with that, but it's true. I heard that a long time ago as a young man, and it resonated with me because it was just basically saying, hey, if you're always doing things that feed your flesh, and be careful, because some of these things that are feeding our flesh are not necessarily what someone would say sin, but if you're watching TV just like too much, like God's been convicting me on how much I'm on my phone. I need to just taking in stuff, but it's really not feeding the spiritual man, because what we have to understand is, like I've said before you became a follower of Jesus Christ, you were only led by one power source, and that was just the sinful nature. But you're like a hybrid now. You got two power sources, and each day, just like a hybrid car, you can either use gasoline or you can use the electricity, right? You can use the motor or you can use the electricity for as far as fuel, gas or electricity. You can use either power source. Okay, and each day as Christians, we're like hybrids now. We have to decide, am I going to walk in the power of the Spirit, or am I going to let the power of the flesh dictate the things that I do today? Because we're like hybrids now. Thankfully, when the Lord comes back, we'll be changed, and we won't have to deal with this tug of war, this battle that we have in us. So just wanted to encourage you today to stay dead, because when we lose, we win. I know that sounds like an oxymoron, but it's true. When we lose, we win. But that's only in God's kingdom. That's only in God's kingdom. Matthew 16:25 says, for whoever wants to save their life will lose it, but whoever wants to lose their life for me will find it. So I know it's hard, because when we don't raise up, we feel like we're losing, right? Especially if someone says something to us the wrong way. We like, whoop, we ready to raise up, right? Okay, because we feel like we're losing when we don't. We feel like somebody's running over us. Why I have to be weak? Why I have to be, just this, floor mat? All these thoughts. But in God's kingdom, we win when we lose. And it takes the power of the Spirit to help us walk in that reality. So, as usual, in order to keep your faith in front, stay dead.